the so-called Beat generation was a whole bunch of people of all kinds of nationalities who came to a conclusion that the society sucked.
This is a terrific cultural revolution that has started with the Beat movement, and then was helped along by the political activists of the 60s who had an actual program.
God, you know, we were totally influenced by Hiroshima, and we knew, you know, the United Nations Charter said wars begin in the minds of, quote, men, unquote. And we knew, several of us knew at Harvard, that we had to have some quick way of changing minds because we couldn't afford the slow processes of civilization that had been dragging on for centuries. So right from the beginning, we wanted to change American culture. We wanted to change the minds and spirits and hearts and brains of our fellow Americans, and we designed it to be. It was one of the largest deliberate psychosocial experiments.
But the morals was something that had to be changed, and the only way that it could have been done was by protesting it, and by protesting it in such a manner that it would cause some sort of wild and angry. You see, a great artist is a provocateur. He has to be a provocateur in order to change what he's rebelling against or yelling at.
They stand and stare. Can't employ you because you got long hair. Well, it's hard times if you've got long hair.
And that's what the Beat generation was really about in the beginning, but it was all not really that conscious. We were just having a good fucking time.
I mean, they think we're doing it to be noticed.
Aren't you?
No.
What are you doing it for?
Well, all I'm doing is doing what I want to do. I'm only interested in playing the guitar and traveling. And if I like growing long hair, it doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. It's easy. You don't have to shave. And I enjoy doing it.
The Beats, even though they weren't a particularly political movement, that they exposed through the use of contemporary images. We didn't have to go way, way, way back. I mean, they opened up the idea that that what was happening to us right now, what we were seeing on the TV, what we were reading in Life magazine, what was happening in our school was history, was poetry. And that was a breakthrough.
Now, these experiments started not on tape recorders, but on paper. In 1959, Brian Gysin said that writing is 50 years behind painting and applied the montage technique to words on a page. And this technique had already been used in painting at that time for 50 years. It was, in fact, kind of old hat in painting. Of course, many ways in which cut-ups can be done. One very simple way that I've used frequently is just take a page, cut it down the middle and across the page, so you now have 4 sections, and you rearrange the sections in a different order. And when this happens, of course, you get new word combos. You also get new words created by the cut-up.
Smoking hashish and sniffing cocaine. It struck as being very glamorous and easy. I
made connection with the unassuming little witch doctor who prepared me some yahe. It is the most powerful drug I have ever experienced. That is, it produces the most complete derangement of the senses. I felt, you know, so pulling together like that. Horrible feeling, horrible feeling.
Why do you put yourself through all that torture?
What are you talking about? You want to take yahe, you take yahe.
But it has done things to your soul.
What might be a negative experience for someone else can be a very positive experience for a writer.
This movie deals with homosexuality, drug addiction, death, and murder. Not like an entertainment, but like, you know, a real sadness that happens in a man's life. Catharsis and betrayal and never knowing who you really are.
William Burroughs, when you were in London, you'd already broken onto the scene, of course, with Naked Lunch. Nova Express was out in '64, wasn't it? But what were you writing then?
Well, let's see. I wrote The Job when I was in Duke Street. I also wrote Wild Boys, partly there and partly in Marrakesh. And I also wrote Exterminator and Port of Saints and The Last Words of Dutch Schultz.
Oh, yes.
So I was quite busy.
Pretty prolific.
Mr. Burroughs, do you regret anything in your life?